All right. Hello. So we're going to hear everything that goes on in Oakland?
Yes.
And Winter Garden?
Yes.
Okay.
Crank it up.
Good evening. I am going to open this workshop it was supposed to be 6, and I'm sorry, it's about 6:06 for the 22nd of February, which is now our Chief of Police wedding anniversary. And wedding day and going to be his anniversary going forward. We'll dispense with the pledge and the invocation for the workshop. For those of you who are new to our meetings, workshops are just workshops. There are no decisions that are binding or are made. They're not official. That's just a chance to get to talk about things that are going to come before us in official meetings that we'll vote on. So I'm going to let Steve take it away.
Right.
Is it on?
I turned it on. Not letting me advance. It's on.
Okay. Good for you.
But you don't know.
That was me.
Okay, yeah, it's on.
I'll do it.
All right. So to start off here, the purpose of tonight's work session is to review the existing Town of Oakland golf cart ordinance and discuss possible changes to the ordinance. Next slide. So the outline is basically one of the catalysts to having this discussion is Oakland Park Phase 7. And then we had a group that did a golf cart survey last year. I was going to go over the results of that. Then I was going to talk a little bit about the Town of Oakland ordinance, a little bit about the City of Winter Garden ordinance, and then just briefly, there's a bunch of state statutes that pertain to golf carts, and I'm not going to go through those all together. And then just some other considerations and then next steps. So first thing first, we've had a golf cart ordinance in place since 2005. But the reason I'm bringing this up now for discussion as a work session to get some feedback is because of Oakland Park Phase 7. That is going to open up the gates to Winter Garden. And the idea is to look at what Winter Garden has and figure out how we can work together with Winter Garden to be able to allow golf carts back and forth between Winter Garden and Oakland. So again, Oakland Park Phase 7 will include 3 access points and will connect Oakland and Winter Garden. The infrastructure and the roads are expected to be completed this summer and maybe pushed back a little bit, but during this calendar year, they'll probably have that infrastructure in and allow that access into Winter Garden. These access points then open up that opportunity for golf carts between Winter Garden and Oakland. And, you know, as all of you know, Winter Garden has made their downtown area golf cart friendly. And so the idea is to possibly have this, our ordinance match up with Winter Gardens for the interoperability. Now I'm going to, this is the first thing, and I'm going to go through the Oakland ordinance and talk about, we've got some very defined areas in golf carts, but the other opportunity here, which I think is a huge opportunity, is to connect more neighborhoods with the golf carts and also the nature preserve. So we're bringing this up because of this access. but it also is that catalyst to talk about some of the other opportunities that could come from the golf carts. So next slide. So last year we were talking with our traffic consultant with Myra Monreal, who's got Myra Planning and Design, and she's been looking at some speed limits and some different issues that we have across town that we'll be talking about at a future meeting. But one of the things we talked about with her was golf carts, and she is also a professor at Rollins. So a group of her students did a project on golf carts, and as part of that project, they did a survey. And they did kind of an interesting project. They looked at Winter Garden, they looked at the villages, and they looked at Peachtree City up in Georgia. They did a whole presentation for their class. I'm not going to bring that into this setting, but it was very interesting. I watched the presentation. But they did this survey, and they did it probably last year in May. And they surveyed 274 people with 10 questions using a Google form survey. There were 97% of the respondents were actually Oakland residents. 24.5% currently own a golf cart, which equates to about 67 golf carts. 28% responded that they would use golf cart as an alternative to driving a car. And almost 92% supported the town of Oakland being a golf cart community. So in my time here, I've talked to quite a few people, and there's always a lot of discussion about golf carts. So again, the catalyst was this opportunity with Oakland Park opening up, but the idea is we've got a real opportunity here to both connect to Winter Garden and connect the communities here in town.
And to update our very old.
Yes, and update our ordinance, which is a little on the antiquated side. So I'm not going to read through every line of this, but I want to hit some of the highlights. So again, this was adopted July 26, 2005. And both our ordinance and the Winter Garden ordinance uses the definition of a golf cart per the Florida statutes, which is defined as a motor vehicle that is designed for a golf cart, golf course, or recreational purposes and cannot exceed 20 miles per hour. There is a third kind of golf cart that I'm not going to speak to tonight, but you can get a golf cart that can go more than 20, that can be registered through the state, just like a car, and also has to carry insurance and all the safety features to it. We're not going to go into that. That's more, there are some communities that defer to that as their golf cart. I'm looking at Winter Garden and what they have in place, and trying to do something similar with that. So again, tonight is just really to gather feedback. The idea is I'll go through like the next steps, and we'll get some feedback and then go back and actually put together an ordinance. I'll work with the police department and with the town attorney, and we'll craft something that kind of meets what we're looking for in an ordinance and bring that back at a future date. But my goal is to have this done prior to Oakland Park opening those roads, which will be sometime late summer. It does have some restrictions to golf cart modifications. It talks about authorization to operate golf carts within the town of Oakland. And there's a map, I'll get to that in a couple slides, that shows the permitted designated streets. It also talks about a few of the subdivisions, kind of silos a couple of them right now. Trail side, you can have golf carts within trail side, but you can't go outside of trail side. I will talk a little bit about the south side of 50. There's other considerations, but let me just continue to go through this. So on the next slide, a little more about our ordinance. You've got non-designated streets. You can't use it on County Road 438, which is now officially Oakland Avenue, South Tubb Street, State Road 50, Remington Road. You can only cross certain places on 438, and no golf carts are permitted to cross State Road 50. Again, Highway 50 is a state road. It is going to be a barrier unless the state designates you the ability to go across Highway 50. There may be an opportunity for that in the future, but that's not something we're going to talk about in this context right now.
I'm sorry. We're acknowledging that is a desire for us to get Highway 50 connected in any way we can.
Absolutely, and I'll talk about that and some of the other considerations, because there's two areas of town that'll have to be kind of a future planning in order to make those happen. No golf carts are permitted on the West Orange Trail. You're not supposed to have motorized vehicles, and that I don't think is ever going to change. So as nice as that would be as a connector to some of these neighborhoods, it is really meant for pedestrians, and so golf carts will not, and that's a county facility, not a town. So I don't see that ever changing in the future. And then no golf carts are permitted to ride on private property unless you own the property. The town shall provide signage designating the streets. The hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. During times of any darkness, fog, smoke, and rain. Golf carts must be equipped with headlights, brake lights, turn signals, and a windshield. And we'll talk a little more about that with the Winter Garden Ordinance. You have to comply with all traffic laws. And then right now, we actually, within the town, have an administrative process where you get a golf cart registration. We have not really been registering golf carts in the last few years, but it is on our books as far as a process. When we get to Winter Garden, I'm gonna say that we should probably not have golf cart registration as part of the process, because it's an administrative thing that I don't think really solves any issues. Up there is the map that you can see that's on the website, and you can see where Johns Cove and Johns Landing on the south side of 50 are kind of solid to themselves. And again, Highway 50 is the barrier. You've got trail side to itself, allowing golf carts. And you have the downtown town center area that has golf carts. So you really don't, and with the new neighborhoods that have come in with Longleaf and Hull Island, there's really no connectivity to either one of those developments, as well as to the nature preserve. And I'll talk a little bit about the Winter Garden Ordinance. This is what my recommendation is that we look at the Winter Garden Ordinance. And I look at it from a couple aspects. One, there is the demand at this time for people to go to Winter Garden to be able to go to restaurants. In the future, as things happen and develop in Oakland, and as we're planning things, there'll be the opportunity for people from Winter Garden to come to Oakland. I mean, we've got a nice coffee shop now and a florist, and there'll be other things within the town that people will want to come and visit. So we'll be able to help support the businesses within town. So hopefully it works both ways. People going to Winter Garden, people coming to Oakland. And then a big draw to me is the Oakland Nature Preserve, allowing people to use golf carts to get to the nature preserve. So that's why looking at Winter Garden is kind of the model. And if we have very similar rules going back and forth, it should make things at least a little more seamless as far as what the requirements are. Again, they do the same thing. They define a golf cart based on the Florida statutes. Golf carts are generally prohibited from operation on public streets unless otherwise authorized. Authorization to operate golf carts between golf cart communities and on specified roadways or by resolution. One thing that I really like with their ordinance is they have a base ordinance that they've set up. And I'm going to suggest that we have a base map that goes along with that ordinance. And then anything that you add moving forward, you do it by resolution. So let's say the Grove at Oakland, a year from now or 2 years from now, when there's a few houses over there, we want to add that neighborhood to the golf carts, then you would do that by resolution and add those roads. So, and that way we can kind of pick up some of those areas and any future things that might come up. The golf cart resolution as described in subsection may be pursuant to a couple methods: community association or homeowners association, or other communities, or citizen commission, or upon citizen petition. So, there's a couple different opportunities on how you can add those roads by resolution. Next slide is the equipment and minimum standards. So it's a little confusing to read through this, but essentially you have a true golf cart that doesn't have any of the extra safety equipment. And then you've got a golf cart where you've added the windshield, seat belts, headlights, turn signals, and you've added that additional safety equipment. As I read there, is basically what they're saying is from sunrise to sunset, you can use the golf cart that doesn't have the safety equipment. You can only use the golf cart with the safety equipment at the earliest time at 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night is how they have their hours. So they go from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. But anything past before sunrise or after sunset, you have to have a golf cart that has that safety equipment.
All of it.
Yeah. But if you're just driving one around during the day, you can just drive a regular golf cart as long as it meets the minimum standards of a golf cart, which is at 20 miles an hour. So the way they handle your age, which ours is a little vague to that, but they basically say that you have to be a licensed driver, 16 years old, to drive a golf cart. And if you don't have a license, you have to be 18 years old. They do require a city-approved safety course, and that is one area that I've heard is an issue with Winter Garden because there's really no safety courses for this. So it's hard to, that one's difficult to enforce. But basically, you've got age limits of essentially you have to be a licensed driver to be able to drive the golf cart. And I think that's based on what I'm going to propose. I think that's a fair way to have the golf carts is you have to at least have a driver's license, or you have to be 18 years old if you don't have a
Oh,
driver's
it's
license.
an or.
Hmm?
It's an or. So 16 or,
Or 16 with a license or 18.
okay, not an and.
So, and we can talk through this, but I think, 16 is fair. I know some places talk about 14 and, but I think being a licensed driver, because what we're going to talk about is how do we connect these communities in a minute. And I think, using Oakland Avenue as that connector, you'd want to have a 16-year-old driving the golf cart that has passed and gotten their license, or it'd be at least 18 as an adult. And again, you'll have to comply with traffic laws. And again, this is just me putting out there what Winter Garden does. I am looking for feedback, as when I get to the end of this. And they have a couple other things. So they have some of the restrictions that they have put on this, unless otherwise expressly authorized pursuant to general law enabling resolution. No golf cart shall be operated upon a road with a posted speed limit in excess of 25 miles an hour. I don't see a designation from the state, but I do think even if it's not designated from the state, it should be that is a very fair way to look at this, the 25 miles an hour, that you wouldn't want to put a golf cart that does 20 on a road that has 35 miles an hour. And if you notice in Winter Garden, they've taken some sections of Plant Street before you get to downtown, and they've put up some signs and some imprinted brick into the pavement to designate the area. And they've actually lowered the speed limit to connect some communities with golf carts. So they are following by that rule, and I think it's a very very reasonable thing as we go through this process. Again, the next one talks about being operated on a road with speed limit of 25 or less. No golf carts shall be operated upon those roads that the city has identified as arterial or collector roads unless otherwise authorized by a resolution. And you can see their map is pretty comprehensive. I know it's hard to read, but you can see they've got quite an area, and they've been expanding that golf cart areas. And I talked to the director of planning week before last or last week, and they're actually looking at additional areas to connect with golf carts within the city. They're doing some due diligence now to look at that. And then the next slide is just an example. They do a resolution, and you can see an additional neighborhood through that resolution. I'm not going to go through the resolution itself. And this is more just for reference, but there are a number of Florida statutes that deal with golf carts, that define what a golf cart is, to give you some of the information on golf carts, what's allowed, what's not allowed, that goes to that. So all that will need to be taken in consideration as we put together our ordinance. And I believe Winter Garden's already done a fair job with that if we follow their ordinance.
Water Garden not have anything on the south side of 50 that would be.
Not that I'm aware of. It's all, everything's on the other side of 50. So again, some of the other considerations to look at. It is expected that there will be a considerable amount of golf cart traffic to and from Winter Garden. It is expected that other neighborhoods, including new ones, will desire to be connected to Winter Garden. So this goes back to our current map as it stands, and Trailside and some of the new neighborhoods that are in the town, that have been developed in the town, that they would want to be a part of this. Longleaf, Hull Island, Trailside Station, the future Briley Farm, the future Grove at Oakland, that those would also want to be connected. And then again, there's that opportunity to connect O&P to additional visitors from Winter Garden. And Oakland Avenue, again, can't use the trail. So Oakland Avenue is the only clear connection. But the big thing on this with the speed would need to be reduced from 35 to 25. And what I'm looking at, what I would recommend that we look at is that we look at it from the point of this side of the Turnpike Bridge, right there at Hull Island, and over to the town line at Winter Garden, that area would be considered for the 25. I think it would be difficult to enforce 25 in the industrial area, at least at this time. I'm not saying that in the future, after the roundabout gets done and we look at other opportunities, there might be design changes that we couldn't look at that section, but right now that industrial area is on that southwest area of Oakland Avenue in front of the industrial area, that would remain at 35 and the transition would be at the Turnpike Bridge.
That leaves MI Homes subdivision.
The Meritage Homes out there over
Meritage Homes.
trails, and I'll talk a little bit about that because I don't want to forget about them, but certainly that's going to leave them on the outside, at least in the short term. There's two areas in town that we need to consider plan as we plan future road projects and future anything else going on, future development, especially on Highway 50. There are some opportunities there that we may be able to make some additional connections. The other thing I want to bring up that we'll need to figure out and work with Pam on is the student drop off at the school. There is an opportunity to allow residents of the town to be able to drop their kids off at the charter school. And so we need to figure out how to make that a safe opportunity and not necessarily have them sitting in the car traffic. So again, that'll take a little bit of work to figure that out, and working with Pam and with SAC and some of the stakeholders there to figure out what's the best way that we can allow for those kids to get dropped off in a safe manner with golf carts. So next slide. And again, I bring this up because I don't want to forget about them, but there is not an easy way to connect these two areas of town today. And so some of the things to consider, you got John's Landing and John's Cove, the gated neighborhood on the south side of Highway 50. They both use Remington Road as their points of access. The biggest barrier there again is State Road 50. That's the biggest barrier. The other barrier is the undeveloped property across the street. If and when that develops in the future, part of that planning process could be allow for golf cart traffic through that development. And possibly there is an opportunity that we've been exploring about connecting that piece of property to Oakland Avenue with a pedestrian. And maybe that could be expanded to include pedestrian and golf cart. Wouldn't want to do that on a lot of places, but there might be an opportunity for a short distance to be able to do that. So not to say it couldn't happen, it just is something that's going to take planning and creativity to make that work sometime in the future. But again, the other barrier is Highway 50, and I know the state is considering allowing crossings at major roads. I've read about one in Tavares, St. Clair Abrams, where they're allowing from the Lake Eustis side to go over to the Lake Dora side of Tavares, some of those neighborhoods to be connected across 441, which is a 6-lane road. So I know that's probably kind of a test case for them. And I certainly, it's not something I wouldn't want to go to DOT with at this point because there's not that extra access to that development. The other one would be open trails and the future Lake Apopka Sound, which is partially in Oakland, but also in Lake County, but it also the access to that neighborhood is through Oakland. Those two neighborhoods out there on that west side, again, the only opportunity would be through that industrial area. And I would not at this time recommend lowering that to 25 because I think it would be difficult to enforce. But there could be future opportunities with planning and looking at other connections that might be able to be made in the future of allowing those two. And the other thing is you want to get that roundabout done and then kind of evaluate that situation. So the roundabout is moving forward. I got the signed contract yesterday from Orange County. So Orange County has signed the contract with the construction company.
That's awesome.
So it is, I don't have a date for the notice to proceed when they'll start the project, but it's definitely moving forward. So it should be in the next couple months that we'll see some construction out there. So again, those two, I don't want to forget about them, but they are out there more in the distant future than the short term. But what we're looking at is those green areas as kind of a start with a future ordinance to try to connect those. And again, the speed limit has to be part of that conversation if you want to connect all those areas. The thing that would be ideal is we went through and did this complete street planning for Oakland Avenue to lay out some future planning for Oakland Avenue. Within that complete street project, it allows for design changes that would slow traffic down through the design changes. And that would be the ideal situation, but I don't think we want to wait 5, 8, 10 years as those projects come to fruition to talk about golf carts. So
I don't think
it really have to be incumbent on people to embrace the 25 miles an hour through town and to keep it safe for the golf carts as we work on that complete street project that will actually help encourage that slower speed limit. So to end it, to kind of put these out there for discussion would be the next steps. And so what I'm looking for is if this is what you want staff to do, or if through the discussion tonight, there's not some other different direction, but essentially it would be to change or create a new ordinance that mirrors Winter Garden for the town commission to consider. Take that proposed map and make sure that it meets the expectations for the approval. And then again, we could do any changes to by resolution to add any additional roads that aren't on that map. I also, the one other thing to consider maybe is that Hull Island, which in the future it's considered kind of that gateway as part of the complete street project, but possibly turning that into a 3-way stop so that as you come across the bridge, you have to stop, and that kind of sets the tone for the 25 miles an hour. And that's a discussion we need to have with the traffic engineer to make sure that that's appropriate. But that would be a way to kind of have that transition of 35 to 25 by having that 3-way stop there. And I don't want to do anything that's unsafe, so it would be a discussion to have with Myra. And then the golf cart drop-off plan for students. We'll work with on that to have that as part of it, so that hopefully if all this works out by August, we would have a plan for students when they come back in August for school. And then develop the communication and education plan so that people, we can do this as safely as possible. So that's in a nutshell. It's probably something we needed to do for some time, but the real catalyst is the opportunity that Oakland Park presents, and then the developments that have happened recently. And just, I think it's a real opportunity to connect the communities, both within the town and with Winter Garden.
So in the interest of time, if you're ready, I'm going to open it up.
Yes, please. I'm done.
I only have two. I have a lot of thoughts, but the two thoughts that I just want to get out there, and then everybody else can throw in your thoughts, and then hopefully we'll get Are we gonna talk about 15 miles an hour on side streets, or is that a whole nother discussion?
That's a whole nother discussion. We're still working on, we've got the map put together. We're working on that. I need to bring that back as a
Okay,
appropriately so that we can.
yeah, and I think that three-way stop at merits discussion, as Ira calls it, a doorway into the community. So not that we want to make sure that we're inclusive to everyone. So that's a lot to think about. And one of the hardest things we're going to do is the student drop off.
Right.
But I'm going to let the rest of the commission throw in comments. You can start, Mike, and we'll just go around the
All
table.
right, first, as we start with the school and what we'll do probably this week is put a email out to SAC to kind of be thinking about it. And at our April meeting, we have every other month right now. At our April meeting, get everyone thinking about it now so we can kind of discuss it at the April meeting to get some, some ideas from the rest of SAC. I think, that's what they do.
And any other thoughts?
So I agree with the age limit deal, myself personally, but what I'm afraid pushback with that is going to be with people that they can get on these 10-speed bikes and go 100 miles an hour. How do you differentiate between that and getting one something we might want to think about, how we deal with that, because that will come up to us. Other than that, and yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with what you got here. I like the idea of the definitions of the golf carts and the way that we're going to do it. I feel terrible that we can't include the other side of 50 right now. I don't know what to do it. I think that if you look at the 20,000 foot level, the ideal thing down the road would be somehow to have that West Side Trail extended to have a golf cart trail. That would be a wonderful thing, but I don't have any idea how reasonable that actually would be.
Yeah.
But that would solve a lot of it, but it might be some long-term planning down the road. I am all for the 25 mile an hour on Oakland Avenue here for every reason that could possibly be.
Yep.
And the 15 too,
That's another.
but that's a whole other.
And this may be just the start of the golf cart discussion. This may take another workshop.
Right.
I
think.
I feel like we come back with a more, once you get the input, come back.
I can come back with it. The ordinance is a public hearing. It takes 2 readings, and so
Yeah.
it'll allow the
You can
opportunity
polish it up.
have public input at both readings of the ordinance. So
Okay.
this gives me and staff the ability to go then put together that ordinance. Depending on.
I second Mike on the 25 miles an hour.
So that's, at the top level for you right now. I would like to kind of read more into Winter Gardens to make sure that everything is.
And I can,
Exactly.
theirs is on the website, but I can send you a copy of their ordinance.
Yeah, if you would.
I can do that.
That's pretty much it, for me at this point. So happy with you.
Any thoughts on what Mike's already put out there?
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. 25 miles an hour. I agree with you.
I agree. Maybe I'm stepping too fast here, but I think we should open up communication with the city of Winter Garden now to let them know what we're looking at doing. So maybe they can start,
You've already started that.
At the meeting that I had with Mr. Posh over at Winter Garden, I did bring up the fact that if they allow golf carts, at least at the very beginning of Winter Garden where the traffic light is, that we could have golf carts at least go to the traffic light and be able to take a left into Oakland Park there, so that not everybody's going through Winter's Landing and Oakland Park. That section kind of spreads it out a little bit. They are looking to do some expansions, and it'll be an easier conversation if we do move forward with this and approve it. Then I can reiterate that conversation.
But they know we're looking at it, and
We're
that's a
but
good,
maybe they might want to open Plant Street all the way up to Oakland Avenue.
it's a good idea for us to keep them in the loop every step of the way.
Absolutely.
Get them to the light, so we don't have to cut through the
Yeah,
lanes and, Southern Oaks.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation we definitely can have with them, but it'll be a little more substantive if we move forward with ours, and then I can get them to consider that.
To reiterate what Vice Mayor said, is we have to be very thorough with their ordinance, because there's no sense of us having a different ordinance when most of the 67 golf carts are gonna go end up at Winter Garden with a different rule from our end,
All right.
right? And have some 15-year-old kid driving and saying, well, they let me do that in Oakland.
That's one of the important things that I think is that we're consistent on the age, because that way, you know that coming from one garden side, your expectation is that they're 16, and from our side that they're 16, so that the officers aren't having to try to figure out whether they should be stopping people or not. It's a little more consistent.
I had a question, more technicality for Oakland ordinance. On the Oakland ordinance, it says that traffic enforceable, providing that they're approved for the use of by the subdivision homeowners associations. Is there any homeowners associations in our town that does not allow a golf cart? And who overrides who? If, say, Longleaf says no golf carts, but we want them, does HOA say trump us?
We probably need to have conversations with the HOAs as we move forward with this, but they are town roads, so. But it would be better to have everybody on the same page, honestly.
Do we know if any of them do not allow golf carts now, like
I haven't heard of any that don't allow golf carts.
outside?
The two newest ones, I'm not sure where they stand, but like Trailside already has it, that they would allow golf carts. The only two that are not under consideration, or that aren't in the previous ordinance would be Longleaf and
Whole Island,
Hull Island.
okay, yeah,
At this point, Oakland Trails would be kind of solid amongst themselves. We can certainly add them to the map if they want to have golf carts within their subdivision, but at this point, they wouldn't be connected.
Are there anywhere that we can reach out to? There's got to be other people in the situations where there's a big road like Highway 50 that people have golf carts going back and forth. Has anyone solved that anywhere? Do we know?
Well, the villages have bridges.
Just the one in Tavares is where it seems like it's kind of a test case, and I'll go back and find the article, but Tavares is allowing golf carts across the state road on 441. The villages, obviously, they've taken a different tact and they've made a huge investment, and so they're doing bridges.
Yep.
They're allowing.
I'm talking about anybody reasonably that we can get.
For the number of people that it would serve to build a multi-million-dollar bridge, really doesn't fit the
No,
for what we need.
I wouldn't even want to be, in line with that at this point either, but there's got to be somewhere, someone has solved something like this. A 16-year-old kid can get on in a car and go on Highway 50. Maybe there's some way to make some sort of a crossing. I don't know, but just, I don't want anybody getting hurt, but it just seems.
golf cart crossing guard?
The hardest part with
How much does it pay? I'll do
Angela's
it.
gonna leave now.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
the hardest part right now is you would want to have a clear path once you cross 50 to get to Oakland
Yeah.
Avenue, and you do not have that. So it's a two-pronged issue that is going to take some time to solve.
Okay.
And Joseph hasn't had a chance to talk, so
No, my question was gonna be around the HOA, because,
That's a
it really didn't hit my
question.
radar until, we start talking about it, and I always seen kids in John's Landing. So I know I see younger kids, and I know we really haven't been policing or trying to have an issue about this. When it is piggyback, we need to have this conversation with those HOAs.
Yeah, I can certainly set that up and start talking to the HOAs in the meantime, or at least invite them out to the public hearing.
And even if they can't cross 50 yet, allow them to drive in there.
Well, they're already on,
They do that now.
already on the current map as being approved for golf carts. The only thing they would have to change would be the age limit.
Right, yeah.
But again, they're a gated community and they're kind of isolated within their community, so.
Because I know I've seen some young kids in my neighborhood, but I really didn't think of it because, they were just in the neighborhood, but let's talk about this now.
Right.
My biggest
Definitely need to have
concern
that
is
conversation.
coming outside those neighborhoods on these main roads and making
Yeah.
sure that we've got licensed drivers that are doing that, so.
all right, anybody else at the table?
I have one thing that I would maybe like to bring up.
Tell us who you are so the audience and the people joining us remotely know.
I'm Stephanie Vello, Assistant Town Attorney. My concern relates to the age limits and the driver's license requirement. Specifically, I worry that if we have someone who has a suspended license, maybe they were driving under the influence, maybe hit and run. Do we want to allow that person to get in a golf cart and drive on the road? And I think
That's it.
Sure.
So we can enforce the regular laws under the statute. So if he's driving on a suspended license and if it's an arrestable offense, depending on how many priors, we can make an arrest. If he's driving under the influence, he would definitely be arrested.
okay,
So, right, and then as of right now, the state law states 14 years old, which we can't issue them a citation because they're a minor. The parent gets the citation until they're 16. So it is enforceable 100%, just like a vehicle. For
Okay.
all those purposes.
so I'm not a criminal attorney, so you're teaching me something right now.
Right, but if they enact where they don't have to have a license, come age
Yeah.
16 or 18,
Yes,
then we can't enforce. That's when we're gonna have a little bit of,
And we can talk through that. Like I said, that's what Winter Garden has in theirs, and it sounds problematic for them. But I also want to make sure we're, that we're as much apples to apples as possible.
Correct.
but then you fall into their driving with, multiple suspensions and things like that.
yeah, yes, I mean, I just,
And then we can't enforce it because our town policy states otherwise.
right, and then we're effectively allowing someone with a suspended driver's license to be going around on a golf cart and
Correct.
maybe based on their past decisions, there's someone we might not want to trust to make good decisions until they have a driver's license again and the state trusts them. And that's just,
That's
something we might want to consider.
us,
Yeah,
as we craft the ordinance.
It's, if you don't have driver's license, I find that an interesting discussion. If you have a
Yeah.
driver's license, you're subject to the laws you're subject to in a car.
But then by changing our ordinance, we can enforce it. We're saying we don't enforce it because we're not gonna require them to have a license.
If they're at least.
They're 18.
18,
right.
Yeah,
Which is
and
a
that's what I'm saying. I
discussion
find
that
that's
we
the part I think we need to have a discussion about.
yeah.
Just because if Winter Garden allows it 18 plus with no license, and we are attracting Winter Garden residents to come to Oakland Nature Preserve or whatnot event we have, you guys are gonna run around
They would.
stopping them saying, our ordinance is this, I'm sorry, you coming from Winter Garden. And I mean, it's gotta be apples to apples.
Well,
Is Steve not saying also that that's where they're kind of stumbling over right now? So maybe everyone talking together, that might be some sort of
Yes.
stage to keep it. Yeah, you gotta have a license to drive something on the
Because
road.
it's a misnomer among a lot of people that they think, oh, I can drive my golf cart to Winter Garden, get blind drunk and drive home, and I'm not.
or I was just thinking too, there's,
I'm not in a car.
there's,
Okay,
there's a difference too between just not having a license, like maybe you just don't have one versus
Right.
having had it taken away from you or
right,
because you did something bad.
right.
I'm worried about the category of who did something bad. Yeah,
Shouldn't be driving in the state of Florida.
yes.
Whether it's a
yes.
golf cart or a car.
Yes, I mean, some people just don't want a driver's license, they don't own a car, they don't,
Well,
That's-
we can look at, how we can handle this, whether there's some additional language we can put in for somebody that has a suspended license or something like that. I don't know.
And we have a way of tracking if they've ever had one, through any of the states, all 50 states, we can track if they've ever been in possession of a license and lost
okay,
it. So like you said, if they never had one, my grandmother, 80 years old, never drove her life, never had one. So we can track that if that's something like you're saying, through all 50 states, if they ever had one anywhere.
okay,
So we'll need to be able to put the correct language in the ordinance to be able to make that discernment there between never having had a license versus having one that was taken away.
yes,
So, well, yeah, absolutely. We definitely need to look at that and how, if there's any way we can handle that through the ordinance appropriately, that makes sense.
Well, it's interesting, and I look too, when you come to the big roads, I see golf carts, because I spend so much time over in Brevard County also. I see golf carts now that we're thinking about it, on the other side of A1A, how do they get there? Unless they just live in those condos and they go up and down the.
Well, they might not be allowed. They just
So-
might be doing it. It's kind of like motorized vehicles on the bike trail.
Let me tell you, if they're Satellite Beach and Indian Harbor Beach, by golly, if you breathe wrong,
Oh,
blue lights are there.
the lights are there.
Like we used to be on Highway 50 years and years ago.
All right.
That's the way they are there. So, So, you know, I'll dig in over there too. I got a lot of buddies over there and see what they do.
I just want to make sure,
That's
That
what I
means-
sent you.
that they only allow the registered level golf carts, that you have to register through the state, have a registration and carry insurance on and have a license plate on. That's what they allow as their golf carts in Indiana.
Might be why
So
you
if you go
said.
anywhere else, it's for
That's
that.
probably what, yeah, I'd forgotten about that, so.
They're considered low power vehicles at that point.
okay, so I want to be able to at least get a little bit of public comment in. I don't know if we'll get it all or not. But for those of you who have just joined us, we're finishing up a workshop on golf carts. If you're here on another subject, that's going to start a little bit after 7. So the folks in the room that are here and have any comments on our work, and a workshop is, we're not making any decisions, we're just taking input to be able to get to a point where we can put something on the agenda to make a decision. And we're talking about golf carts. So anybody who is here for that discussion that has any comment in the room, please let me know and keep your comments brief. Shane.
So Shane Taylor,
Can you have them come to the podium, please? Otherwise, people online can't see you.
Shane Taylor, Planning and Zoning Chair. So let me just speak real quick on we were presented this information last week. And I think there's a unanimous decision making Oakland Avenue at 25 miles an hour. I think everybody was for that, not only for the reduction of speed in golf carts, but also you could use that as traffic calming and probably deter people from cutting through the town, and you know, like they kind of do now. So if somebody's trying to get to Claremont fast or Winter Garden fast, they stay on 50 or take the turnpike. A couple other notes on here after looking at this. I think we need to, when we lay our map out all the way and we get the yellow lines where the yellow lines go, I think it's important to make sure we don't leave out anything that accesses commercial areas. And that could be 7-Elevens, gas stations, the racetrack, and you know, I'm looking at Remington Road running up to those areas there. It doesn't have to go way to 50, but just to that entrance right there. Same to be said for as you come down Star Street. I know it turns right there at the Sadler, but that little bit that can come in there to the Tractor Supply and the churches and stuff. And I know, Steve, we were talking about possibility of turnpike right of way and trying to connect to trail side on the far west side. And if there's any possibility, if there's any right of way from DOT that you could utilize along that and create a golf cart trail per se.
We are actively looking at some opportunities to be able to connect along the turnpike. But there's nothing in the plan yet, but we are looking at some possible opportunities to have an alternate to allow golf carts from Trailside and possibly like Pocketus Sound without having to use Oakland Avenue. But again, it's going to be one of these that we have to kind of plan ahead and look at those opportunities as they present themselves. But there is some possibilities there.
Very good point, Shane, about the racetrack and the church that's
Yeah.
built in Tractor Supply.
Definitely. Anybody else in the room? All right, do we have anybody?
No, there's-
there's
I'm sorry. I
You have
missed
two.
somebody. About golf carts?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I'm Becky Corcoran. I live at 19 Oakland Point Circle. And I had a golf cart, don't have one, I have one. But are there gonna be signs on the trails, like when you enter, that say no golf carts? Because there now, but I see plenty of golf carts, people trying to cut through different areas that are.
We know that we have
Like the West One Trail. and-
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on there all the time, and that's.
Yeah, and that's something we'll have to work with Orange County on because that's their jurisdiction and they've already got no motorized vehicles on, imprinted on the ground. And we even get people driving on the trail from time to time.
Yeah, I've
But
seen that
we
too.
certainly will work with them to whatever they need us to do to keep the golf carts off of there. And we will have to do a signage package to show which streets are allowable and which ones are not. So definitely.
Okay.
Carlos Esquivel, 1408 Planted Pine. Just to reinforce the positive note about lowering it to 25, just personally from living at Longleaf, that would be amazing just to be able to access the trail and feel safer with the lower speed. So that would be amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
Anybody else? Anybody that is joining us remotely, please raise your hand if you have a comment. Okay. Awesome. Anything else for the good of the golf cart discussion? Did you have your hand up?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, yeah, you didn't see me.
Oh, you do. I'm sorry.
That's okay, just read my-
Come up to the podium. Tell us who you are because you're new.
I'm David Rosenthal, 125 Petrus. And it's just a question that I throw out, and it's probably for a future discussion. But is it possible that with creating a golf cart opportunity to cross 50, that there might be able to be tied in with that, a way to create some signage for the town of Oakland on 50 as kind of a gateway type of a structure that would connect and slow the traffic down, because there's something that identifies that you're coming through the town of Oakland, something that's beautified on 50, because people just go from Claremont to Winter Garden and don't really realize that this beautiful town is here.
Right.
So it might be an opportunity to connect that with some type of an opportunity for golf carts to cross 50.
Is that part of the road project?
It will be future steps. So we are in the process right now of looking at the branding for the town and being able to update what we have as far as branding, and then be able to utilize that to do some gateways and some monuments and some different things to identify the town, give that sense of place. We talked about it as part of the Oakland Avenue project. We talked about having a few gateways on Oakland Avenue, but we can also translate that out to Highway 50 at some point. So it is something that we're working on. It's just kind of a slow process, but it is something we're working on. In fact, we've actually identified at least one area that we have an easement on so that we can put a future sign.
Thank you.
But I think
You're gonna need to watch out with UPS and others, because there's a David Rosenfeld on Tubb and a David Rosenthal on Petrus, right around the corner from each other. So you'll be getting each other's packages.
But it isn't a major point. I think a major point that we don't, that's a state road.
Yeah.
So we still, it's hard for us to control. We can't,
Yeah, we have to,
regardless what kind of signage we put up, there's not much we can do
Yeah,
until the state.
It is a state road. And again, the barrier of crossing State Road 50 with golf carts will rest with the state. We are also looking at the possibility of some future regional traffic projects that might enhance those intersections, the traffic intersections, making them synchronized so they work better, and making them more pedestrian friendly. But it really comes down to a funding issue at this point. But it's definitely something that we've contemplated, and we have as part of a transportation plan that we've actually turned into Orange County. So
yeah, that's a good point, Joseph. And that's what we work on the turnpike. Every time we go to Tallahassee, we make it clear to the legislators that our Oakland exit says Winter Garden. So,
We've been doing that for how long now?
oh, years.
And you aren't related to the other day. I'm not. That's
Different
weird, isn't
name.
that?
But people are gonna mix your packages.
they sure are.
and fill up. Good. Good. All right. One more question and then we're gonna close this up.
Good evening. I'm Matthew Bonovich. I live in Longleaf, 2724 Bobcat Chase. As Shane mentioned, and something that has come up with my mom having a golf cart in Ocala, and I know in the villages they have to use gas. There is no gas stations in this plan. The only one would be in Winter Garden. And if it is going to make golf carts going that far, it might be difficult on electric. It is a far journey. So it might end up being a lot of gas carts. And I know Tubb Street isn't included. That's what we discussed last week, I think. DG Donuts wouldn't be on the plan. So there was no gas or anything like that. So that might be something we have to look into.
absolutely.
Okay.
The feasibility of the golf cart.
Yeah, if that Chevron ever has gas, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll look at extending these down to Highway 50 where we can, and making sure we're including some of those commercial areas. This was just a first draft of.
Somebody may come in.
Are they still there? Oh, I thought they were done.
I haven't left yet.
Oh, good, I'll go down tomorrow.
All right, we're like a minute over, which is okay. We started a few minutes late. Anything else before I close the workshop?
Really?
Anybody from afar, raise your hand. All right, I'm going to close the workshop and I'm going to give us a 4 minutes so break, and then we will start the regular. How are you?
Good.
Ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. We really like it when we see faces in the room. So I'm going to call the regular Oakland Commission meeting to order February 22nd. And for the pledge of education. I pledge allegiance to the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sal.
Father God, thank you once again for entrusting us with your town. I ask that you give us your wisdom and discernment and to make decisions that are best for our town citizens. Please put a hedge of protection around our staff and our elected officials. And may we honor you in everything we say this evening. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Sal. Okay. Hey, Commissioner McMullen.
President.
Commissioner Todd.
Here.
Commissioner Ramos.
Present.
Vice Mayor Satterfield.
Present.
Mayor Stark. Here. Here. Okay, I'm going to make a change to the agenda. We will have public forum first, but then I'm going to move up the resolution that is number 6 on the agenda. So you'll hear about that in a minute. Public forum, anyone who is here who wishes to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda, now is your opportunity. We ask that you keep your comments brief and down to 3 minutes if possible. Do I have any takers? Yes, sir. You have to come to the podium again.
Hello, Carlos Esquivel, 1408 Planted Pine. I've lived in Oakland for about 2.5 years now, and I feel so lucky to from the nature preserve to being able to hop on the turnpike. However, I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I do use social media, and I feel that maybe the town needs to come into the 2020s. For example, I haven't been able to find a footprint on things such as Twitter, Instagram. So I think it would benefit the community to showcase the beautiful things that it has, to be able to increase the footprint when it comes to social media. And also the town website seems to be a little outdated, and maybe it being a little bit more fresh, more modern, more up to date would be a good thing.
Would you be interested in serving on a committee to help?
Is there a social media committee?
Let's create one.
That's usually how we do things.
Yeah.
If we can, I'm not saying we're going to form one right today, but we will put it on our list of things to do and think about putting a committee together to see what we are lacking and if we want to move forward with
I
something.
mean, I found like the footprints on like Facebook and things like that. And I appreciate those, but I think like the Nature Preserve has a imprint on Instagram. They have over 2,000 followers. So it'd be nice whenever they post something to be able to share it.
Okay.
As a town of Oakland.
Link it.
Link it.
You know, link it and tag it and things like that. Thank you very
But
much.
that's usually how we do things. We just studied garbage and missed that one. Okay? All right.
You'll be our first victim, volunteer.
All right, so I'm going to move item 6 up, resolution 2022-01, Healthy Westland Trail Connections.
Evening, Mayor and Commission. My name is Emily Hanna. I am the pleasure of being the Executive Director of Bike Walk Central Florida, your local nonprofit bike ped advocacy organization. And I am here today to present to you and to explain the resolution a little bit clearer to you and the audience. Slide or who's handling that? Oh, I handle that. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Down.
Get it all.
I get to handle it all. All right. So in 2020, the Foundation for a Healthier West Orange and the West Orange Healthcare District decided that they wanted to identify some focus areas for their expanded strategic plan and agreed that in 2020, we saw, unfortunately, COVID kind of took over, but we also saw the need for activation, outdoor recreation, access to nature and active transportation. And so trails, biking and walking across America and across the world exploded. And the health district and the foundation saw this and agreed that really to promote a healthy lifestyle, activating and expanding the trail network in West Orange County and their district was a priority for them. So they created an initiative, a task force, if you will, of all of the communities in their district in West Orange County, along with other stakeholders like FDOT, Orange County Parks and Recreation, Metro Plan Orlando, and Bike Walk. And we all talked about what activating and expanding a trail system in West Orange County would look like. And ultimately, we decided that we have a lot of opportunity here in West Orange County to truly activate the gem of West Orange Trail, but then extend that gem and those connections to other cities and municipalities within that region. And so we formed a Trails Connection. The Healthy West Orange Trails Connection has a mission of bringing together those partners in the goal of promoting, activating, and enhancing that trail system to create better and greater opportunities for not only that physical activity, getting outside, being active, but also engaging with your neighbors and with your residents. I think that's one of the things we also saw the outcome of COVID is that by distancing ourselves, we're losing that social engagement, that social interaction that is the framework of your community. So we're really encouraging that. And of course, prosperity and happiness and the goal ultimately of making healthy the West Orange County one of the healthiest places to live in the nation. So on the slide is all of the partner agencies that are a part of this committee. The towns and the cities that participate have a voting membership. Your city manager, Steve, sits on that committee right now and is a member of that. And then we have supporting agencies, including other locales and municipalities surrounding the district, along with the other agencies that I mentioned. So a very robust group of stakeholders really working on our trail system here. And why I'm asking you to be a part of this via a resolution, one is to put in writing your commitment to being a part of the connection, but two, knowing that part of what comes out of the connection is an opportunity at some funding to be able to build the network and activate the trail system in West Orange County, one of which a member of the town of Oakland gets to be a part of to make sure that that money is spent equitably across that district. But then another reason important being a part of that connection is leveraging those funds, using the opportunities to work with FDOT, to work with Orange County Transportation and the various departments within Orange County to align our vision of making the trail a great place to walk, bike, and play, and use that to support engaging and activating and using some of their dollars that they already have programmed to try to achieve our goals as well. And ultimately, as I said before, the goal really is to make this place a very healthy place for everyone, all ages, all abilities to be able to enjoy their community. So with that, I ask that you adopt or accept resolution that's listed, I believe in your agenda is item 6 that got moved up. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
We need to read this into the record.
The resolution?
Yeah.
No, it's not required.
Okay.
May if you want to. Though.
Do you want us to read this into the record?
You do not have to, no. It's very much lengthier than what I've just described.
It is for anybody who wants to see it. It's over on the table. So this is part of what makes West Orange County so unique and such a great place to live is all the opportunities, you know, for biking and all of those things in the Oakland Nature Preserve, so on and so forth. So we're very pleased to be able to partner with you and with Healthy West Orange, who's been a very generous donor to Oakland and our Heritage Center. and those great events we've had past. So I've signed this. I need to get Elise to sign it. I know you want a picture, right? And do you want to vote,
Yeah, don't we have to make them.
or do you want just an acceptance for a resolution?
We could have a vote just to,
Just,
See a motion?
yeah.
Yeah,
so then, well, yeah, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-01.
I'll second it.
Okay, do we have any discussion at the table? Do we have any discussion from the public? Anybody from afar, please raise your hand. Okay, perfect.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Picture's more important. Very important, she signs it. Sorry.
I thought we always voted on resolutions.
That's what we're doing.
Bishop.
All right. You're right here. Elise, okay, Elise, can you take the picture?
Oh,
Oh, will you use mine too?
You. I got this, you, Alicia.
Absolutely.
I can't take it right here.
Oh, you're standing all the way in the back? No, he's got the front. Yeah, good one, good
Oh,
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Pictures? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's your copy, right?
Okay.
Actually,
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys.
I'm gonna scan it in. And
Yeah,
then
you
I'll-
can just email it to you. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it.
One other note, they also, the boardwalk at ONP,
Can't hear you.
Healthy West Orange and the boardwalk at ONP, as well as the
Oh, yes.
I think we'll talk about it later. Yeah, I see this. I get this.
Every time I turn around, there's stuff
Thank you.
up on the.
Short-term rentals.
They were wanting to leave, that way.
Probably the least lengthy discussion we're gonna have.
Yeah, that's true.
It was at least is my idea. All right, we have consent agenda. Does any of the commissioners have anything they want to pull out or have questions about? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
To accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Second, any questions, any comments? Okay, all in favor? Right, moving on to the first public hearing, ordinance 2022-03 Briley Farms.
Okay. This is first public hearing for ordinance number 2022-03 Briley Farms annexation and ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, annexing by voluntary petition certain real property owned by Jefferson R. Boss, Jefferson Rich Boss Trust, and Boss Family Holdings LLC, bearing property tax parcel identification numbers 20-22-27-0000. 00-005 and 20-22-27-0000 -00-004 and 20-22-27-0000-0009 and 20-22-27-0000-0036 and 20-22-27-0000-00-021 and 20-22-27-0000-0078 and 20-22-27-0000-0003 and 20-22-27-000-00-00-10 and located contiguous to the town of Oakland in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of section 171.044 Florida statutes and other controlling law, redefining the boundaries of the town of Oakland to include said property, providing for findings, providing for conditions, directing the town clerk to record the ordinance with the clerk of the circuit court, with the chief administrative officer of Orange County, and with the Department of State, providing for legal description and a map, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and the taking of administrative actions, and providing for an effective date.
Wow, thank you.
To do that again.
I didn't quite get, I think you missed one.
Missed a zero.
Okay, Jay, you're up.
Yes, that's what I heard. Can you just
1 second. and
get it all the way across? I'll try not to do too many zeros. But at any rate, so basically two actions tonight. And one is the one that you're just listening to now is the actual annexation of this property, 45 acres. And you see it there in the star. The hole is about to fill in. Take our recommendations. And so there we have the information that you've already heard, 45 acres. Basically vacant and residential at the present time, and reminding you of our joint planning agreement with the Orange County that was revised back in 2016. This is all consistent with that. It's consistent with the statutes, reasonably compact. It fills in perfectly, and we have the services to do it. So, as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Board on January 18th, I recommend that the Town Commission adopt this ordinance 2022-03. And I will say that the applicant is here as well.
Is annexing the same as this one, right?
Yeah, that's all we're doing on this.
Just the annexation.
So I'm going to entertain a motion first, and then we'll have discussion.
Approve ordinance number 2022-03, Riley Farms annexation.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions at the table? And for those of you who are just joining us, this has been discussed before. We are aware of what this means. And this is merely the annexation to bring a contiguous piece of property into the town. And that is by joint planning agreement with Orange County. Anything that is going to be worked on out here comes into the town as long as it's contiguous.
That's right.
And in the joint planning area.
Right. Joint planning, exactly right.
Okay. So if we have no questions or comments at the table, I will open this up for public comment. This is a public hearing. So do we have anybody in the room who has a question or comment? All right, from afar, joining us from afar, raise your hand if you have a question or comment.
There's one right there.
Okay, Chad?
Yeah, I'm super late to the table, probably on this discussion. My name is Chad Morrill. I live on Bryway Avenue at 203. So this is right down the street from me, from the other plots of land. So I guess this is what technically phase 2 or 1C. I'm curious, what is the plan for this land? I mean, I get that this is a joint agreement, that when the land came up for annexation, that this was kind of a kind of the deal. So I get all that, but I'm mostly curious what the plan for the land is.
Well, we're going to have, to answer, we're going to have a little bit of a preview of that. Right now, it's just annexation, no phases, no concepts, because the actual development is actually bigger than this 45 acres. And we're going to see that when we go through and do the comprehensive plan. We'll just give an information only. And then there's going to be a zoning hearing that will come up at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. And so you're in the area and you should be receiving a notice within a couple of days, if not tomorrow or the next day on that. And as everybody in your neighborhood will receive. And but we're going to give you a little preview of it tonight because the applicant has actually shared what they're going to do, at least what they're proposing.
What they're proposing.
Yeah, what they're proposing.
Okay, can you? It does, absolutely. And I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to know, because again, I am late to the table, so I get that. Can you explain the joint agreement between Orange County and the town of Oakland for this particular property, or just properties in general? What is that agreement?
What the agreement is that to have better planning, the county and its various cities have gotten together and developed these joint planning agreements so that we all know and have some way of predicting how to best and most efficiently provide services like water service, sewer service, land use. We coordinate, we communicate these kind of things like this annexation, like the upcoming comprehensive plan amendment, and like the zoning. So it's all basically something that if it's right on the town's border, then that's when the cities all get involved in it. So in this case, you'll see the proposed general land use designation in the next step here when we talk about the next ordinance.
So in other words, Orange County, if we left it in Orange County, then Orange County would be responsible for approving whatever would come. And it could be right in the middle of where we live. And that's not, the most organized way to have, a comprehensive development.
And that's
yeah, that makes complete sense. Again, I'm just late to the table here, so trying to catch up.
Oh, well, it gets confusing, I can tell you. So do you have any other questions, Chad?
No, that's it. I appreciate it.
Okay, anybody else from afar? Sorry. All right, I am going to close the public hearing unless I have anything else that anybody here wishes to discuss. Close the public hearing, bring it back to the table. Any questions, any comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. First public hearing, ordinance number 2022-04, Riley Farms Plan Amendment. And Elise, you get to do it all over again.
Okay, so this is the first public hearing for ordinance number 2022-04, Briley Farms Amendment, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, changing the town's future land use plan map designation of its comprehensive plan from rural and the Orange County Comprehensive Plan to low-density residential in the town of Oakland's comprehensive plan for certain real property owned by Jefferson R. Voss, Jefferson Rich Voss Trust, and Voss Family Holdings LLC, being Orange County Property Appraiser parcel numbers 20-22-27-0000-00-005 and 20-22-27-000-00-004 and 20-22-27-000-00-009 and 20-22-27-000-00-036 and 20-22-27-0000 20-00-021 and 20-22-27-0000-00-078 and 20-22-27, Steve. -0000-00-003 and 20-22-27-0000-00-010 with an approximate size of 45.44 acres, making findings and providing for conflict, severability, and for an effective date.
Then, Madam Town Clerk, could you move the slide forward? Thank you.
Nancy, I have a question while you're moving that slide. How in the world can you read all that and hand him those batteries?
Yeah.
My job.
That was a pretty good trick.
Very good.
She didn't give us a paycheck.
As it says up here, this is step 2. So for information, every time we annex, well, basically in a property, we don't have any jurisdiction. The town doesn't have any jurisdiction until it goes through 1, the annexation, 2, the comprehensive planning, and 3, zoning. So all these things are not automatic. It's, you just don't annex and it amends the comprehensive plan. It doesn't do that. So basically, this is the second step here of the 3 that I mentioned. And again, you can move forward on there. I think we all know it's 40 some odd acres, and you can see the gaping hole that thankfully the town will be closing up, hopefully in a light yellow, low density residential town planning designation next, please. And there you see it all nice and filled in. Really makes you feel gratified, doesn't it? Feels good, finally we get that.
Land the plane.
Yeah. So anyhow, moving on, we have services there that are available, that will be available, water, sewer, parks, recreation, etc. And moving along, we have a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board again to recommend approval of this ordinance number 204. Do that. Okay. So anyhow, no, you can't go forward there, and these are just an FYI. So you see the larger piece of property within which this 45 acres is located. Moving on, and you can see in that tan area, that's what you're actually annexing tonight. So it's not the exact plan that is using now, and the area you've already approved a plat on that pinkish area there. So that's to give you a little idea. And then moving further on, there's just the overall plan, the most recent plan that the applicant has provided to us. And say something that you
Thank you, Jay. We, of course, agree with the staff's and planning and zoning's recommendation to adopt the future land use designation of low density. And so for Chad, who is listening in, the plan is to develop homes on this site at the low density residential range. And also provide, there will be several dedications that we've been working with your staff on. 2 dedications of property to the nature preserve, so to the town for use as part of the nature preserve, a dedication of a park area along the trail that touches the south border of this, along with another park dedication on to the, I'm saying it's north and south, but we're turned a little bit, but there to close to Lake Apopka. This is, as Jay said, a concept plan. We have submitted, and based on some of staff's comments, are working to resubmit our request for rezoning to plan development. And that would then go to P&Z, scheduled for March P&Z meeting, and it would then make its way to you all. And that is, as you know, where we get into those details And we've begun drafting a development agreement where we can talk to the city or agree with the city as to the infrastructure we provide along with the timing of those different park dedications. So I'm happy to answer any more questions that you all have. But as Jay said, this project, there have been discussions with the town and with your staff for a long time, and we're really excited to see it come this far. Thank you.
Do we have any questions at the table?
I'm pretty clear.
Okay, so what we are approving tonight is the rezoning only.
The comp plan.
Comp plan amendment.
You'll see the rezoning coming up at a subsequent meeting after it goes to P and Z, and that'll have some more details as far as the development agreement.
So there's a lot more discussion on this to come. Any steps?
I do want to make just one comment that this development is a very diverse development from large lots to more of a medium lots. I think it's going to fit very nicely into town. There's been a lot of work to try to make that so that it does, keeping the topography of the area and not doing a lot of the clearing that you would see with a major development. I think it's probably, going to be a very nice development. It's done, but like I said, it's got a very diverse mix of property sizes, of lot sizes, and I think it's going to fit very well into the town.
Okay. Do you have any questions at the table?
No questions, just a comment. City is a dirty word in this.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's funny, when you hear that, the first thing you think of is town.
You get.
I let it go. I almost asked her what
Pass
you're
this
talking
time,
about.
but the next time you say that, you get heckled.
Yes. Well, I feel a little heckled now. It's worse.
The other thing to note is that property that's going to be dedicated and be part of OMP is a beautiful oak canopy that's being preserved. So it's right on that south west corner there. And it's a beautiful piece of property that'll be dedicated and it'll be dedicated to the town, but it'll be part of the nature preserve.
I can't zoom in close enough, but it seems like it's gonna be connected to the trail, Oakland Nature Preserve Trail, right?
There are some connections that will be made. And those will be worked out as they work through their plans, but the idea is to have some connectivity with the nature preserve, working of course with the nature preserve to make that happen. So.
I'd bring this up, but I would love to see a spur off the West Orange Trail.
The idea is down Jefferson to do probably more of a path and not necessarily a 14-foot trail, but to allow a path down Jefferson Avenue that would connect to what would be a future town park on the yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for that. And then there'll be some unimproved trails that will be kind of similar to what Oakland Park has down near the water. But again, I don't want to speak for them, but they are working through some very creative plans to make some of those connections. So.
You have a dock there on the north side. Is that just a canoe area or?
Absolutely, let them speak to that.
Sure. There is actually an approved seaport existing there. We have a special exception and the FAA approvals, and there is a dock out there now. So that is showing that in that particular area, we are not proposing, and we can get into this in zoning, that we would want to keep that one that's there. There are other phases, which when we get to those, about those that is a
existing.
I think, and that was, I think that was Orange County, and I think that was a long time ago, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, as far as that particular ordinance?
Support.
Yeah, that
special exception.
Yeah, that would have been something that Mr. Voss, I would assume, had put forth. So.
When he was in Orange County.
So I don't think they're proposing having a there, but.
No, we're just keeping that done.
Just to continue on the spur of the West Orange Trail, would it be possible to do a paved trail and then turn it over to Orange County to maintain it with the rest of the trail?
If they did a spur down a town road, it would be a town asset, not a county asset. So,
And that would be something, would we talk about, I mean, is that something we would talk about at a later date or
it'll be part of
put it
the,
on the table now?
well, it'll be part of the development agreement, but yeah, the idea was to have a path that would connect down to the lake and give that public access down there. So it may be on one side of the street and probably not on both sides, but it would be an improved path of, of some width, probably 8 foot, whatever I haven't seen the final plans yet, so I don't want to.
So that's not, we're not approving anything like that.
No, you're not approving that tonight, but the idea would be to have that pedestrian access down to the lake.
So you have made your wishes known so that when we talk about that.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there.
There.
Yep. I just think it'd be nice if people could ride their bike all the way down the lake and see it and get back on the trail.
I have a question for Stephanie.
Sure.
Being that it's not this particular 45 acres, but as far as the entirety of Briley Farms, being that that's, my neighborhood, I'm still okay to vote and stuff on this.
Yes.
It's a direct impact on me to my neighborhood. I don't want us to get in trouble with me doing something. Once we
There
start-
shouldn't be any conflict.
Yeah, I think you can vote on it. I
Okay.
can't think of a reason that I.
I just want to make sure we're good, just in
Yeah,
case we start, talking about the stuff that goes along Briley. That's right there. It's my house.
Well, it
Yeah.
also abuts right up in my subdivision also.
Okay. Just
Conflicts of interest are more if you, if we're,
have a part of it.
or if you own some sort of business that's.
When we change
something.
zoning on the lot on Up Street,
Yeah.
that's directly behind my house. I had.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we don't get something come back and say, but.
Yeah, because you butt to it and sort of
Okay, cool.
Kathy butts to you and I butt to Kathy and.
Well, but, never mind.
That's enough.
We're gonna
Okay,
move
all
on
right.
now.
Maybe different.
I got it.
Yes, if you were selling it to
Yeah.
them or
Okay,
something like that.
cool.
Um,
I selling my property.
So anyway, I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-04.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any more questions at the table? All right, I'm going to open a public hearing. Anybody in the room that has any comments or questions? All right, anybody from afar, please raise your hand.
Chad has a question.
Chad?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Just super fast. This is a great looking plan. Development is going to happen when there's land. It's inevitable, especially in this area. And so, what you like to see is something that A, looks nice, B, is as low density as completely possible, because that's why we bought in Oakland. And I think this fulfills, a lot of that. Obviously, a lot of time and work went into even just this conceptual. My question is, how conceptual is conceptual? Like, is this the I don't want to use the term final because I know it's not, but is this like really the direction that we're moving in, or is this going to be something that truly does ebb and flow, probably greatly? Does that make sense?
Chad, I don't know if you can see us. This is Rebecca Wilson, the attorney for the property owners. And the rendering that you see is a rendering that's consistent with what our resubmittal to the town will show.
Well played.
So it is conceptual. Things will change, as one of the council members mentioned, it shows a trail connection, for example, into the nature preserve. That's something that we would like. That's something that the town and the nature preserve are going to have to decide if they want to approve. So as far as we're concerned, this is what we are working to submit.
Yeah, I think more with the homes, more with the development plan, more with the, kind of the lot sizes and kind of, the density overall from a residential perspective, I guess was more my question.
They've been pretty consistent with where they're at as far as the density and the number of houses. There's a few little tweaks here and there as you look into the engineering, but they are trying to be as minimally impactful to the property as they can be. And they've worked very hard with the requirements of the commission and staff as far as, our design districts and the requirements that we were looking for. So, but I don't see any major changes, just some tweaks here and there as they go through their engineering and making sure that everything will work like it's supposed to.
Right, so just to add to what the manager has said, is that the next step after the zoning, which will have this concept plan, which kind of shows the roads and the layout and everything, but it's not exact. So the next step is what you call a preliminary subdivision. And so that is where you really start getting down to the engineering. We start looking at exactly where things are going to be, exactly what the lot sizes are going to be in a particular block or group of blocks. And then after that, there's even more. There is the construction plans and the final plat. So it can change, and it probably won't change a whole lot most of the time, but it still can change as you get right down on the ground, and there's surveys and there's all kinds of really, really obscure detailed things that have to get done before the town commission again gets an opportunity to review that final plat. So it's got a little ways to go. Next step being the zoning and that PD plan development concept plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. And obviously I'm going to try and be as present as I can for some of this. Some of it you see, some really lengthy thoroughfares through there, which I know is people are going to love to speed up and down those roads, I'm sure. So obviously that's something I'd like to just even lay out on the table now. I do have one request. Can we go back one slide? I just wanted to see that really quick because that's a little closer to my home there. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Oh, okay. That's all I had. I appreciate y'all very much. Thanks.
Thank you. And that's good input. And we encourage you to continue to follow this project as we go along.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can Steve talk to this is like the original plat? That area?
So I can talk a little bit, if you go back one slide. So those areas that are in yellow and pink are part of the original plat of the town. And so those areas were essentially replatted into larger lots, and they're very consistent with the neighbors across the street and around that old part of town there. They were platted as the original, I believe were they 30-foot wide and so deep. There was like 6 of them or like 12 of them to a block. So those were all part of the original plat, and they've been replatted to those larger lots that you see on the screen. So those are the ones in yellow and the ones in pink. So that's what you see there. And those will probably be, I'm guessing that timing wise, are those the ones that are being worked on first, Gary? Yep. So those are the ones that you'll see construction on first, or probably the ones in pink first. And then they move, that's the phase 1A. Phase 1B is the north part towards the lake. And then phase 2 is the part west of Jefferson that's being considered tonight as part of that annexation. So there's 3 phases to it. Again, you see a very diverse lot sizes and different price points and different things going on. But overall, it should be a very nice development as part of the town.
So where you see the larger lots is where the existing homes already are for the most part.
Well, the larger lots are going to be custom homes. And then where you see across from the yellow and the pink there, those are existing homes in those areas.
Right.
And there's 2 white spaces where there's existing homes next to the pink ones.
Right.
But you're going to see a variety of estate lots, larger lots, and then some smaller some smaller lots, but
It's gonna have a good mix.
it's gonna have a very nice mix.
This is what we have already in Oakland. It fits
Yes.
ideal to our.
Chad has his hand up. Chad? Did you have something else you'd like to say?
He's muted.
Are you muted?
Yeah, there we go. Thanks. The lots north of Briley Farms Phase 1B. So I guess I just assumed that was all wetland. Are those going to be lots with homes on them? Kind of flanking the lake? Yeah, those right there.
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
if you see that big white space in front of those, that is wetlands, so there won't be any
That's the
lots in there. So
Okay.
there is an area of wetlands, but you'll see the lots, they'll have some very nice lakeview lots there. And there'll be a few others that will be discussed closer to Oakland Point when we get further along. But yeah, there is a string of lots there, and you can see how we've got the roads trying to connect those roads. There are some areas there that are difficult to connect, but you can see how we're trying to keep that same block structure with the roads on that east side going towards the lake with those larger lots.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. This is probably way too early of a question. Are kind of the homes on the right, are they more for like the custom homes? Like, are we thinking like in the realm of Oakland Park, custom type homes, or are they going to be more, are we going to have a builder, like a Lennar or something like that? Or are we talking like J&J, something like that?
So the ones on the right, on the east side of Jefferson, yes, I believe those are all going to be custom homes, and the applicants here, if they want to speak more to it, but everything on that right side of Jefferson is expected to be custom homes. There is a builder that will be on the west side. There's smaller lots in that area that are a little more dense on the west side of Jefferson will be a builder. So you're going to have a mix of custom homes on large lots and a builder on the smaller lots.
Okay.
The only thing I have to add is that the town has design guidelines for all houses. So they have to have porches, they have to have a lot of the elements of a traditional house, kind of a la Oakland Park, if you've been over there. So whether it's on a big lot or a little lot or a medium-sized lot, it's gonna have design guidelines, it's gonna have porches, it's gonna
Thank you, Jim.
It's gonna be a nice architecturalized home.
Yeah, it should all be very consistent with what's going on within the existing part of town. Not necessarily the new neighborhoods, but the existing part of town. This will feel a lot like that because of the design districts that we've got in place.
If you want to put that size in perspective of all those little yellow and pink squares, my house is at the corner of Briley and Daniel. That's three of those lots. That's one of those little squares would be exactly that lot. So you can kind of look at it and compare. And then the next one you have over would be my neighbors in Walker, and then Miss Voss's. They're all like those squares, just like that.
So they're large.
It's a very good size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put my last name on here, so I'm not sure if you recognize me or not, Mike. I'm next door to Judy and Marcia there, so we're right across the street from me. I figured.
I got you.
If you have any questions in between any of these meetings, feel free to email me. I'm happy to talk with you on the phone or, meet.
Yeah,
with you.
no, for sure. This is really great. This is great info. I appreciate y'all's time. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak or ask questions? Becky?
Okay, so through the discussion, I'm Becky Corcoran. I live at 19 Oakland Point Circle. And I am in that little corner down there where all of that is happening. So, I mean, through the years of different builders coming in, going bankrupt, different stuff happening with this area and the boss buying it back and just a whole bunch of stuff. I think out of everything that I've seen, this is probably the best that I've seen, and I'm okay with it. I mean, it is right there with me, but I'm okay with it based upon the builder is taking into account the nature, beauty of the area and keeping intact the wetlands and all of that. So I'm in for it. So just wanted to let you know.
Appreciate that.
Well, since I am right there and I am a big part of that,
Backyard.
it is my backyard and my side yard, so I am like completely.
Where are you at
surrounded.
exactly, Becky?
She's at the very end of
The very end, you see where they have like the little cul-de-sac?
Oh.
The cul-de-sac is actually my son's basketball court,
Oh.
right there. I am like right there. So I'm totally in this.
Right here.
Oh, yes, that house that has a basketball court and has a detached garage.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
nice, very
that's-
nice.
Yes, that's my house. I am really like, I've been kind of monitoring this for the last like 4 years of different surveyors and they're like, hey, we need to come up on your lanai. So I've known about this going on for a long time. So this is not something I'm surprised about. And given that I've seen kind of some of the stuff that's been going on, I'm fully okay with it.
Great.
One thing I'll bring up that will help with your neighborhood too is, so right now, you've got a dead end water line, and Mike can speak to that. But we're looking to be able to connect your water line and give you a full loop so that you have more redundancy and a better water system through your neighborhood than what you currently have. So Mike can talk to the
Okay.
technical aspects of that, but
Okay.
we are gonna, look to make that connection and allow for a full loop through your neighborhood so that you've got a much better, more reliable water system. So.
Yeah, I'll be explaining that at your HOA annual meeting next week.
So I have to go, huh, Mike?
Maybe not.
It's okay, it's okay. I got it.
But there will be that benefit for your neighborhood also.
Okay, yeah. It's been a discussion, for years. And I see the surveyors, they've been up there and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And nobody knew. So once they kind of seen the concept and I knew it was gonna be a lot of homes and stuff, but seeing we're okay with it because it's Oakland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I got a motion.
Yes.
And all right, so we're in public hearing. I'm going to close the public hearing unless I have any further questions or comments. All right. I need a vote. All in favor? All right. So that's the first reading. There will be a second reading and it will be advertised.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, moving on to second public hearing ordinance -2021-28.
Okay, so this is the second public hearing of ordinance number 2021-28, temporary multifamily moratorium. An ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, establishing a temporary moratorium of 180 days on the acceptance and processing of new applications for special exception uses, rezonings, comprehensive plan amendments, and any other development applications or plans proposing to increase multifamily entitlements within the town of Oakland, Florida, providing for legislative findings of fact and definitions, and providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
I'll go ahead and speak to this. So this is the second public hearing for this particular item. We were supposed to have this a month ago and we had to cancel the meeting, so we had to re-advertise. Bring this up, but essentially what this does is puts a pause on multifamily development within the town. There are no current applications in process. So this puts a pause on taking applications for 180 days from this meeting. We are going to, and the intent of this is to not just put a moratorium for no reason, but to actually discuss this with both the Planning and Zoning Commission, ARB. They're doing a joint meeting in
March 15th.
March 15th, and then bring it to the commission probably in April or May and discuss it with the commission. The idea is to look at, and this is generally along the Highway 50 corridor. We're not really talking about multifamily in any other areas because there's really not any particular places to do that. But this could be both townhomes and or apartments. And the idea is to talk about the Highway 50 corridor and whether there's any discussion that needs to be had based off our current codes, our current design districts, changes we need to make, or just an understanding of what might be acceptable or not acceptable along that corridor as far as multifamily. So it is a chance for us to discuss. We've had 3 different projects come through in 3 different on 3 different properties. And there's been just a lot of discussion, and the idea is to figure out whether there's room for that or not and how we deal with that moving forward. So Again, it's a 180-day moratorium to allow the commission and the public to talk about multifamily. And then if there's changes that need to be made to our code, we can make those appropriate changes. So.
And those 3 projects were withdrawn by the applicants.
They all 3, well, 1 was turned down by the commission and 2 were withdrawn. So again, just to have those discussions on what the future of Highway 50 could look like. I think we've done a really good job with our zoning and our design districts, and there's a few things that we've excluded from future development, like more gas stations and convenience stores. But we need to have that discussion about multifamily, because that one is the one that seems to be causing the most
Thanks. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments at the table before we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve second reading ordinance number 2021-28.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I'm going to open a public hearing. Any questions or comments in the building? Any questions or comments from afar? Raise your hand, please. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the table. All in favor? Aye. Second public hearing, ordinance 2022-08.
Okay, this is the second public hearing of ordinance number 20-22-08, sorry.
How many numbers?
This one you messed up.
I know, the easy one. Star Street right-of-way deed, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, accepting dedication of right-of-way along the westerly right-of-way line of Star Street between East Oakland Avenue and East Sadler Avenue, as more particularly described herein, and providing for conflict severability, non-codification, and effective date.
Okay, so this is second reading of the ordinance. Basically, we're asking the commission to accept a parcel of land, which is 10 feet wide and roughly 500 feet long, to enable the construction of Star Street between Oakland Avenue and East Sadler. The Presbyterian Church has offered this up, and like I said, this is second reading and we're asking you to accept it.
Any questions or comments at the table? Need a motion, please?
Go ahead.
You haven't done a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept second public hearing of ordinance 2022-08.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I'm going to open a public hearing. Do we have any questions or comments in the building? All right, anybody from afar, please raise your hand. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is imminent to be bid, by the way, so the construction.
Good. All right, we already heard resolution 2022-01. I knew there was going to be a lot of discussion, so we moved that one up. Anything further on the town manager report?
Just 2 things. I brought it up during the work session, but it's on the record. The roundabout contract with the construction firm has been signed and executed with Orange County. I do not have the notice to proceed at this point, but as soon as I get that, I'll get that out to everybody. I believe it's about a 220-day project from when they start construction. So it'll be, once they get started, it'll be going through the end of this calendar year is my expectation. And again, they've got a lot of area to work on, but they are also tasked with the maintenance of traffic and keeping traffic flowing through that area.
We need to monitor that very carefully.
We will, absolutely. But it is a construction contract being managed by Orange County.
Right. But, you know, if we're going to rip up that end of the road, we may as well do it all at once.
Yeah. The turnpike contract, or the turnpike project, is moving fairly quickly on the Oakland Avenue section. I don't have a clear timeline and when they'll put that bridge back into place, but they certainly are moving on that project. The second thing is Mayor Demings is having a town hall meeting on Monday, the 28th.
Flyers over there.
Yeah, there's flyers here. I will be in attendance of that meeting, and I also will have some of our complete street boards that we had at the meeting a couple months ago. And I'll answer any questions that may come up about Oakland and road projects. But again, we've turned in a comprehensive list of projects, including improvements to Highway 50 with the traffic signals, improvements to Oakland Avenue, basically the 5 phases that we've talked about with the Complete Street project. All things that could possibly, be partnered with Orange County should that sales tax funding become available.
And we're also making it clear that links is a priority.
Yes, I have made that clear directly, that links is a priority for the town. But so we're looking at all aspects, both things that impact Oakland directly, like Oakland Avenue, things that impact the region, like Highway 50, and then things that would impact the multimodal with the links system. So
Yeah, and if I haven't seen the presentation, recently, but I think there's a dedicated source of funding for links, but we just need to make sure that.
yes, they are taking a large portion of this funding. 45% of it will go to links and Sunrail. And so the idea would be to have a presence of links within the town, and how they manage that. I can't tell them that, but certainly we will links within the town of Oakland. So I have made that clear, and I do have a meeting with the county administrator next Monday.
Oh, good.
So I will certainly bring that up as part of that meeting too.
Good. This county administrator seems to be more accessible to the municipalities, or maybe it's just a project, I don't know.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the sales tax, but he has made an effort, absolutely.
So.
You talking about Brian Brooks?
Yes.
Oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's been around. Yeah.
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 So
He's been very accessible.
Mhm.
yes, I've enjoyed working with him. So that's all I've got.
Can I ask Steve a question?
Sure.
Are we giving Mayor Dimmons our price tags?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay. No, reason I'm asking because
That's a good question.
Mayor Dimmons mentioned that more cities are asking for more money. So, as far as sharing the dollars.
Right.
And I'm not sure how they want to do it, but hey,
Well,
we need it, so we need to ask,
Well, so the way they've set this up, it's 45% to links and 45% to county projects, and then 10% being divided up amongst the towns and the cities. It seems to be a fair way to do it. There are some cities that are asking for a bigger share of that 10%.
Yeah.
Where I look at the opportunity, the 10% will make a huge difference within the town should this pass. And again, it's something that the mayor and they'll be advocating for, because this is an Orange County tax. But should that come to fruition, the town would get a healthy share that could go to operation and maintenance and projects. So we'll have money for resurfacing roads, for taking care of the dirt roads, for improving intersections that we control. And then there's the opportunity of working with Orange County on a regional basis for things like Highway 50 that impact everybody. If we get like an intelligent traffic system where they're syncing the lights together,
that would be nice.
Consideration, better pedestrian access and crossings at those intersections.
A bridge over Highway 50.
And then the opportunities for links, because Sunrail is not going to be something that we'll say out here, but at least not in the near future, but the opportunities for that links connectivity also. So there are those 3 facets that really have that opportunity, local, regional, and then the link system. So.
And I would say that the mayor of Orange County has heard us loud and clear as a collective voice of the municipalities about equitability.
Sometimes we in Oakland, we too quiet. So
we haven't been very quiet lately.
I've been pretty much, having a lot of discussion.
But you're right.
So, but certainly the commission's going to have to make their points. And the idea is I'll be bringing a resolution at the March 22nd meeting to talk about.
I think that the discussion, Joseph, at the council of mayors before Corona killed this, the last ballot, was so contentious that Jerry just was like, we're gonna set this up in advance to make it equitable. So what he came out of the gate with this time, I felt a lot better about.
Well, and we'll have some representation on the committee that they're putting together. It'll be, ultimately, the commission has to make those decisions, but we will be on part of a steering committee that they're setting up.
And we'll, but you're right.
Will we be able to participate in that committee?
Somebody that you appoint, myself or somebody from the town.
There you go. It'd be really,
Well,
let's bring the loudest one in there.
Yeah. Because the link system is huge. And
yes.
one time they talked about a rapid bus transit from here to UCF
And that's on the table as part of this. Yeah, so.
But I'll get on the bus if I had a chance.
It's not going to happen overnight, but the opportunity is there. So if this passes, the opportunity will be there to continue to lobby and to try to move these regional type things between links and some of these other improvements that could be done. So, but the key is if it doesn't pass, then the conversation's kind of moved. So,
I would be very perplexed if it didn't pass.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have a lot of opposition. People just don't want to spend the money, but
yeah,
this transportation is. I mean, I count. It takes me 8 lights to get from my house to Publix, and it's crazy. So we got.
I mean, that's what I said. I told my husband Publix is too far away. It's not that it's too far away. It's too many lights away.
Yeah, it's 8 lights.
Now, if you had a way to get there in your golf cart.
Exactly.
But it's true. I mean, both of them are like 2 point what miles?
3 miles. Yeah.
We're dead center to the two publics.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
yes.
And they're too far away.
And I'll tell you, there's enough stuff happening in Claremont right now that, that it's not ever going to get any better.
No.
But if we can be more intelligent with how we're trying to move this traffic on 50, maybe that'll help some improvement. But you've got quite a bit of development coming all the way to the county line and adjacent to Oakland. They're just going to, but there are opportunities to the south for some connections that need to come to fruition. Not that it's going to lower the traffic on 50, but maybe it'll keep additional traffic coming to 50.
That exit, additional exit on the turnpike is really, that was a lifesaver with Highway 50. It didn't fix 50, but it sure made a difference.
Well, and then once they get the 8 lanes going on the turnpike, that might help some too. I mean, there's just a lot of pieces to it, but it's going to be incremental, these improvements.
Right. Okay. At the table, Mike.
On a fun note, it's advanced for you, but PTO, who is the most fabulous PTO I've ever seen in my life with the money they give our school. The money they give is amazing. I have putting a gala on again like we had 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
3 years ago with the COVID going.
Yeah.
And the theme is going to be Roaring 20s.
Oh.
I saw
Have a date?
their costume.
Have a date?
I don't have the exact date yet.
Okay.
But they're in the plan. They're definitely gonna have it. And that's definitely going to be the theme. It'll be towards the end of May. We do know that. I don't remember the exact, what they were saying, Steve,
I wasn't at the.
Oh, you weren't there, yeah. So, and they've got a lot of planning to do still, but it is on the table. So that is actually their biggest fundraiser,
The last one was fantastic.
Yeah, so this one should be even better. It'll be in Ocoee.
Okay. Is it gonna be in the Ocoee Lake Shore?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
May 13th.
was it 13th?
It's in your manager's report.
That's
Okay.
my daughter will love it.
Yeah.
See you guys putting it, we're making it this way with a
Oh,
theme.
It's gonna be very cool. It'll be a real fun event and it really goes a long way with the school. The other thing is just kind of a thank you to staff for the art center and the exhibits and the work that you guys do. It is fabulous this month. It's
I think
absolutely
Alicia's on
fabulous.
the phone,
So congratulations, Alicia.
Yeah.
So I just want to formally
very,
recognize.
very nice. And I'm very happy to see the place open more.
Yes. So that's all I have.
Okay, Joseph?
I passed these cards around when we were in Tallahassee. We didn't see them when we were in Tallahassee with Steve and the mayor. But the Florida League of Cities, of course, there's 600 plus bills that they cover. But the Florida League of Cities came up with, these bills that are being proposed. And, and these are the ones that are important to cities and towns. Of course, we may have some other things that may be happening that's important to us, but, they came with these postcards. And so those that were up there with the Florida League of Cities was just handing these out.
That's a great
to
idea.
different legislators. And Tri-County, we're gonna be doing the same thing because we have a new executive director. And so, UCF is not our executive director anymore. It's gonna be USF. And that's some of the things that director does for the league over there in the Tampa Bay area and also the Polk County area. They have postcards or summary of bills that they focus on just for their area, along with whatever the Florida League of Cities is focusing on. So the Tri-County League will be doing the same thing like this. So hopefully sometime.
Do you have extra?
Oh, yeah. I was up there the next day. That's when I found these, and then I had her send me some in the mail. Yeah. So she sent me some in the mail. That's why I went over to the mailbox and I just did my delivery. But so, this helps, even I have personal friends like, hey, how can I help? It's making it easy. So yes, and so of course, this will change. And so the Florida League is doing this, and hopefully they will have some other, items like this to help. But like I said, I know Tri-County with the new executive director, she's going to be doing the same thing here for us. So it'll be something we can.
It'd be nice if we could all be consistent.
Right. But some things are more important to us than it is to other areas. Like some people, they don't mind having short-term rentals,
Yeah.
Gary Brune over in Windermere, he was adamant against this. He was like one of the main ones. Of course, we don't want it over here, but Ponciana and Davenport, they love it.
Oh, yeah.
But there's other things that's popping that we need to follow. I know Commissioner Ramos talked about the cybersecurity. And so this dollar's coming down for that. Of course, we love our trees. And so there's so many things that we can do, but make it easier for us to be able to go out there.
Nice summary, and it's not, what. One sheet or two-sided.
Yeah, just for us.
But that's just one subject. But this is nice when you have multiple.
Right.
I think this is great.
I'm happy to see that cybersecurity on there.
Yeah.
And then there's also discussion about the infrastructure bill, how that's going to affect in the Florida. So the Florida League of Cities is going to really do a lot to help us on the city and the town level to ensure that we have access to everything that we need to to benefit our cities and towns throughout the state. But I really wanted to show this card. I'm glad.
That's very cool.
And as they update them, I'll get more from the communication director who sent it to me. So that was it.
Okay, well, you didn't talk about your award.
Oh, well, I don't talk about myself too much. You know how I am.
So.
I appreciate you guys.
That was on my list when we got to meet. Joe's got an award from the chamber. And there were a few of us on hand to see him receive that. And it was for all his hard work in the community.
Yeah, but I don't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself.
Congratulations.
I appreciate everyone.
Congratulations, Joseph.
But let me say this. Let me say, whatever I do, I bring back, and the staff is the one who really implement it. So I can talk all day long, but
Parker's got to put the sewer in once we get.
Yeah. It's a team effort.
Don't sell yourself short for what you do.
Yeah, but I can't do it by myself. I can't do it if there's no one else. I mean, maybe have hands, make the little light. So that's.
So we thank you anyways. And
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you all.
We're gonna move.
I appreciate you all. That's all I have. I'm not gonna be redundant.
All right. Sal?
Just a reminder of the Golden Eagle dinner at Tanner Hall, March 9th,
I'm RSVP.
6 p.m. So if we can get out there and support the Boy Scouts and a couple of the guys who are getting awards.
The town has a table, right? Don't we have a table? The town has a table at that event, correct?
That's all.
Rick?
Just orders on the preserve was another big success. We had 148 participants, we had 9 cases of beer and 67 bottles of wine was donated. And After expenses, we raised over $5,000.
That's great.
Oh, that is great.
A little bit over 5,000.
Police department made a lot too, pulling people over when they left.
Well, that's where 5,000 came from.
Now, you're responsible bartenders.
But no, we have a lot of the, enough left over, we'll probably able to supply a bubbly on the boardwalk with what we have left over.
Good. So I talked a little bit about the gala. The town had a table at the West Orange Chamber Gala and Joseph received an award and it was all very nice. The chamber is supporting, you know, our request for money from the state. Are we still in the budget for 750?
I haven't heard any different.
Okay, so we're in the budget for 750. We're asking for 2 million, so we never get what we ask for, but as Steve would say, and you've all been schooled on this already, is we're pivoting for reclaimed water for about 1,000 houses. You didn't say 1,000 houses.
Probably about 700 or 800 houses that will have the infrastructure that's already in place. So it's the alternative water supply project that will draw water out of the canal. It's considered a stormwater harvesting project, but we'll be able to use that for irrigation for 3 existing neighborhoods that have the infrastructure in place, and possibly this Farley Farm project, if that comes to fruition.
And it's darn near shovel ready. I mean, we have the land, we have the plans.
The design's been worked on. I mean, we've got some conceptual design and we've got the land. Yeah, so we're in a good position. We just need to get the funding cobbled together and then we can start getting that project underway.
Steve, Joseph and I spent some time in Tallahassee last week, or week before last, which is why we were not, Steve and I weren't at the meeting. Oh, and Joseph, you wouldn't have been either because you stayed on for League of Cities. We were not able to make the meeting. We were on our way back from Tallahassee.
How was it?
Very good. That was the most productive trip I've taken.
Yeah.
The most productive. We saw the most people. Nobody canceled on us. Nobody moved us. You know, they were ready for us when we got there. So it was really.
State reps, senators and staff, both appropriation budget staff, as well as Senator Albritton's and staff. And then we saw a couple other.
Yeah, committee chair.
Representative Thompson and Representative Brown.
Yes, Senator Bracey.
Senator Bracey.
Yeah.
So it was the most productive. I think if we, and that was, a lot of that is just stars aligning and not being moved or, you know,
Whatever it
canceled,
was.
but it was great. So anyway, like I said, the chamber is supporting that request and so are, you know, many people up in Tallahassee. So that'll be really good for Lake Apopka too, because the water is filtered once more before it goes in.
Yes.
So
Good.
All right.
that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything? Parker?
I actually do have 2 items of general interest.
Mike, when I told you last time, save him from when she's here, I was kidding.
2 items of general interest that are so hot off the press that I haven't even had a chance to brief Steve on them. I did talk to the turnpike earlier today, 4 o'clock. The schedule for the highway bridge is scheduled right now for early July to be complete and open to traffic. So that's the schedule right now, but they have a contract with the turnpike that gets them until September. So they're ahead of schedule. It's looking good. And then of course, once that's complete, then the pedestrian bridge gets removed. But they anticipate at this point to be through with all that road work and pedestrian work by early November.
Wow.
So,
Whoa, yeah.
and then number 2, this is the last one, number 2, as further evidence that the town of Oakland is actually running a sewer utility now as opposed to septic systems, you know. We actually took delivery of a sewer jetter machine today. It's small and but it is capable of jetting out 8-inch sewer mains. And it was fully paid for by grant money.
Awesome.
There you go.
Was that kind of trailer behind the vehicle on the ground, a Harbin, was it?
Very similar.
That's some good stuff, huh?
We got the right.
Yeah.
Commissioners.
Yeah.
I never, ever thought that that would be, a project that I would be so interested in.
Well, right after garbage, huh?
I like to come see it.
That and garbage.
We want your approval, Commissioner, of that machine.
Yep.
Utilizing our expertise. Awesome.
All right, and no meeting next time, right?
No meeting on March 8th because of election night, March 22nd will be our next meeting.
All right.
And it's early voting too,
Yes.
next week.
And there was a big vote by mail
Yeah.
drop.
All right.
Right, if our hearts and minds are satisfied, let's adjourn. It is still 8:30 PM.
Hey, we did pretty
Not
good.
bad. Yeah, these are very cool.
Yeah,
I
I was surprised